we're afraid of stings and pain. It's
Absolutely.
We don't like pain, we don't like stings. So oftentimes we don't get the pleasure of accomplishing certain goals or certain achievements because we don't want to go through this tunnel of pain, this threshold of pain. So we sell our own pleasures out.
Mm.
Uh, so we take more joy in resisting pain, or we take more joy, sorry, in avoiding pain
Mhm.
than the joy of the accomplishment. So like, yo, I'm just gonna sacrifice obtaining that so I
Mhm.
can avoid that pain.
Welcome to Well Metaverse, the podcast where Jason Earls and Aaron Sorrells navigate the explosive growth in the metaverse. Buckle up because we are in for a heck of a ride. How about that? You'd think we haven't done like a dozen of these. Like I was boomering out there hard. Like
Right.
there was two of me for a minute. It was rough. How you doing, man?
Dude, I am great, dude. Fantastic. Getting rid of these technology demons.
Jeez, oh Pete.
My goodness.
Yeah, that was the only thing that would have been better there as we experienced those technical problems is if I like turned into a cat.
The crazy thing with technology, man, is, I'm amazed at what we can do right now. Like we have in the 80s, no way we could have had this set up in our house.
Oh,
You know,
not you don't even have to go back to the 80s. Like, I mean, this,
dude,
yeah,
can
this.
I exaggerate a little bit, please? Dang, he just shot my exaggeration down. Not even that. How ridiculous is 80s? Let's go to two. But you're
80s.
right. Yeah, you like 2000, 2000,
Right, right.
2000, 2005, 2000, maybe 2010. I don't know. What year would you say? What year
Yeah.
would you put on it then, buddy?
Okay. I would put last week on it. No, no. Yeah, man. I'll tell you what, I have been feeling like a boomer lately. Like I've okay boomered myself like a dozen times in this last week. Like I'm just for some reason I've just started fumbling through technology. Like I need my kid to come hand me the remote and show me how to program the VCR, which in and of itself is probably a pretty okay boomer thing to say.
That's hysterical, dude. I've Gen Z'd it a couple of times. Like I quit. I just
Yeah, you know what? I'm right on that line too.
That's funny.
Yeah,
Dude, you
yeah.
you you a boomer? No.
I I well, yeah, let's see, I'm 47. I think I'm right on the line. I
Dude,
think I'm
no way. I don't
no,
think that
what's boomer?
I have this stuff written down in my computer.
All right.
Uh
Yeah, so I was born in '75, which I think
no,
puts me
bro.
right. No?
No, dude. I was born in 76, bro. There's no
Uh,
way.
so I seriously think it's right on the line, but you said you got it written
I'm
down?
looking at
Uh,
this. Let me see. Generations. Here
Yeah.
we go. Coming up. Dude,
Because I was like
dude, you
Gen X.
all right, so here we
Okay.
go. Silent generation 1925 to 1945.
Okay. All right.
Next generation is from 1946 to 1964. So 1946 to 64. So first is silent generation to sit
Uh-huh.
45. The next generation is the boomer generation.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
Generation
not a boomer
yeah,
then.
generation X is 65 to 1980.
Okay, so I'm
Yeah.
solidly Gen
Yeah,
X.
that's what I
Yeah,
was
that
right.
makes sense.
That's
I'm an
why,
old
dude,
soul
you
though,
just
dude.
try to be old, bro.
I'm an I'm an old soul.
If you're a boomer or silent generation, please forgive me. I'm not calling y'all old, which you are, but Why do people
Yeah,
get mad at that? Like, oh, you called me old. Well, I get it.
I'll tell you, I mean, getting older beats the heck out of the alternative.
Absolutely. What, getting younger? Yes.
Or, well, if you're not getting older,
Absolutely.
you're not living.
Yep. So let me finish these. So 1981 to 96, that's Generation Y. Generation Z is 1997 to 2012. And then
Okay,
2013 to 2025 is Generation Alpha. So, dude, I have no
okay.
kids, Generation Alpha. All my kids are Generation Z.
Huh. Yeah, I think here's a dumb joke for you. I think the next, generation will be called coronials because it's kinda catchy.
That's funny. That is catchy. What's weird is the Corona baby thing, man. Like, I didn't know
It
that was a real thing.
I seriously think that, there will be a generational divide with pre-corona and post-corona, because those years seem kinda arbitrary, but what they are is massive things that have shifted in in someone's memorable lifespan. So I know 9/11 was one.
Right.
So the people that can remember pre 9/11, that's kind of the end of one generation, and then the next starts with the people that can't remember it.
Absolutely.
Um,
And in about 20 years from now, what would determine a good accountant or controller is if they were in school during coronavirus. Like, wait, well, let me see. What? Yeah, you missed 2 good years of math. Yeah, we go.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. We need you on the team.
Yeah,
We're always looking for accountants that aren't all that good at math.
right. Dude, can you
My
imagine?
wife's a CPA, and like she talks about that. There's no room for creativity in accounting.
That's great. Dude, can you imagine in some type of engineering uh like think room or like some type of issue where they're problem solving and somebody gets something wrong? They're like, "What happened?" Like, I was doing it was during Corona that we covered that. Like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I just tore
You
that
you
joke up.
must have missed that day in school.
Right.
No, I missed those 2 years in school.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Boy, I mean, that's gonna leave a mark. The people that were in school, during this time, that's gonna leave a mark. That that'll be tough to overcome.
yeah, I got some of them in my household.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what you doing? Oh, yeah, that's right. My bad. My bad. So but and so making the point that I was making with the boomer thing, just what we have accessible to us that we didn't have accessible to us 20 years ago, like this microphone and this setup, which is a danger in itself
Yeah.
because you have people who actually did go to school and who've been trained to problem solve with technology. Then you got folks like us, when problems arise, we're like, what do we do? And we spend probably 2 hours or even a day trying to problem solve something that if somebody really was great at it, they're like, oh, yeah, you got too much power going into this. You got the wrong adapter. Hmm.
Right, yeah, yeah. Well, it's funny because this kinda leads into one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about. Um, like, I'm really struggling right now about how to handle the administrative things. And by the administrative things, what I'm really talking about is I'm struggling with how to communicate with and keep track of the people that are coming into the soapstone.
Hmm.
And we've got the Facebook group, which is cool, but the almighty algorithms as they are, there's only so much stuff that gets in front of people.
Right.
So if I've got something important that I want to communicate, it's only going to get in front of a small portion of people. Let,
Yes.
lay it on me, brother.
Dude,
Tell me what to do.
I might not be able to tell you what to do, but I can sure enough help you think through that. And here's the idea. Uh, in 2015, Google acquired YouTube for
Okay.
billion dollars. And now, but every year, Google makes an excess of $5 billion a year in advertising from YouTube.
That's
So when
pretty
I,
good ROI.
dude, so when I saw that, I was like, wait a minute. There's this principle that I took from that. Instead of making YouTube videos, I need to create my own YouTube. Now, I'm not coming for YouTube, but what I mean is, instead of trying to get people a video, I need to create my own system that I release my videos. In
Yeah,
other words, so I don't need to depend, I have to find a way, as great as Facebook or Meta is, as great as YouTube is, as great as Instagram, Twitter, and all these social media platforms are, I'm depending on them to get the information to people.
right.
And they choose who sees that. What made YouTube so valuable was they had a system that they got videos to people, and Google said, we want that.
Yeah,
We don't
yeah.
we don't want Jason. We're not Jason Earls who? Like they don't even know I exist necessarily.
Yeah,
So I was like, man, I need to create a system to where I can communicate to people when I want to, as opposed to waiting for them.
that's it. And that used to be solvable through email. Like, because the idea was you build a website, you create a funnel to collect email addresses, and then you can initiate when you communicate with people. But here's the problem: as I'm talking to people, man, so many of these people that are in the metaverse do not use email at all. Like like not for anything.
Yeah.
So the my go-to solution for this, to start to collect email addresses, I'm only gonna reach like less than 50% of the people that I want to reach are even reachable through that platform.
Or you can say, hey, listen, I'd love to keep in contact with you. Hey, just send me a text right quick. Text the word laugh to 33777.
Dude. Oh,
So if anybody texts laugh, the word laugh to 33777, you will be added to my communication list. And I can tell you whatever, when I'm dropping a video, where I'm gonna be touring and all that stuff. So there are systems in place to do that.
that's a good
The
idea
que-
to
but
go with text.
Yeah, the problem with that is there will always be a I guess a huge gap that that's difficult, especially in the metaverse, because it's people got to remember that when they get out or leave the metaverse and just go to their phone.
Mm.
Uh
Right, right.
yeah, I wonder if there's a now you could this is a long way, and I know there are a lot smarter people, a lot more smarter people out here who probably like that's easy. You guys are ignorant. Y'all are
Yeah.
acting like the silent
Okay,
generation.
boomer.
Right. No, you see what I did? I skipped the boom, but I went back to the silent generation, the
Yeah.
1920s.
Yeah.
Because one thing, now this is a lot of work, but what you could do is I know the Oculus shows people who are near you.
Yeah.
And so somehow I wonder if what's the system of ancient dinosaur, write down, remember the people, go in and look at who's, whether you take a snapshot of it, but write down who's been near you and you follow up with them that way. Hey, I love to, this soapstone will give you a free gift. Um, Some what is the catching mechanism? What is the way that we catch people and connect them? And I'm not going to, like, some people say we want the information. No, it's not about information. It's like what you want to do is be able to connect with them. And so
Right, right,
how do you get this connection? Uh and so for me, it's, I mean, that's the risk. You got to be able to sell it good to convince people, like,
right,
why,
right.
one, I'm going to protect and value the fact that you're signing up to laugh 33777. Um and so if you do that, you got my word that I'm not gonna, you know, become a spammer or just always
Right.
send you stuff. I'm gonna send you stuff when absolutely I feel like it's necessary.
Yeah.
I know that
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
answer your question all the way, but that's a start to the
yeah, no,
question.
that's a good thing, and also, like, what you touched on there, messaging through Oculus, messaging through their platform, 'cause there is a thing called a leaderboard that you can keep track of people when they come in by username.
Yeah,
But of course, that username doesn't correspond with anything else, and there's no way to there's no way that I know of to export that data or that information. So it would be manual, like you're talking about. But that'd be a kind of nice touch, if first time visitors that came through, I mean, pull a play out of the playbook of churches. First time visitors that come through, just drop them a note and be like, hey, it was cool to see you.
absolutely. And making sure you have that contact. Yeah, you said it right. First time visitor churches. If you got all the
Yeah.
leaders who are making those contacts, and some churches call it touch points.
Yeah.
So when you see somebody, make sure that the soapstone leaders greet a person. Once they greet it, then that person is up to that person to reach out to them and then follow up, 2 or 3 times with them.
Yeah. Well, and maybe it's a series of deeper connections.
Yeah,
Like if they come, they get an unsolicited thank you message. If they come, just boom, here's a thank you message saying thanks for popping by the soapstone. And then in that message could be, hey, join Team Soapstone if you want to stay plugged in.
yeah.
And then in Team Soapstone can be, hey, if you want to be the first to know about big things when they're happening, sign up for text messages.
I wonder if I know you've got the world creator banner, the world tester banner. Are there other
Yep.
banners, or I wonder if there are there like stickers that a person can have on their deal, and it's because dude, I got a whole system that I'm thinking
Uh-huh.
about, because, and this came from my every experience that I've had in the soapstone getting on stage. So what if there was a a first joke club or one joke club?
Okay.
So for everybody who comes in, when they go on stage for the first time, just to encourage, like, yo, you're in the one joke club. You got on stage at least one time and told a joke.
Mhm.
The other thing is, what I thought about was, and I need to preface it with a story. So I went into Soapstone this week, and I had a joke that I wanted to work out. Just, it was raw in my phone, and I got on stage. Nobody's in the room. There were two people in the sound booth, but they were just having a deep conversation. So I just got
Gotcha.
on
Yeah.
stage and I worked on the joke. And when I worked on the joke, it's like somebody came in. And it was super awkward. It was vulnerable because I know this joke isn't ready for for public consumption, but I need to put it on
Yeah.
stage. So I put it
Yeah.
on stage, fought through the awkwardness, and then somebody else came and I was like, you know what, let me tell another one because now a crowd is coming.
Yeah.
Next
Yeah.
thing I know is four people in there and they're interacting. And I was like, okay, I want to honor the 3 minutes. So I'm gonna get off
Yeah.
stage. I got off stage and then they were like, man, that was cool. It's like, yeah, I'm just working out material. And I do it when nobody's in here. They're like, we're in here, some more. So I got back on stage. When I hit the button again,
Nice.
got back on stage, and then I got my phone and I was peeking through the nose hole in the
Uh-huh.
Oculus, going through my comedy notes. And I just started going down the list of jokes that I had that hadn't been even talked through.
Yeah.
Dude, it was so good as a comic to do that. And
Yeah.
afterwards, and then I encouraged somebody else to go, like, I don't have any jokes. I was like, look what I just did.
Yeah.
And they got on stage, and I thought about this. What if there was a a comedy coach, team Soapstone comedy coaches that help you learn the structure of just one joke.
Yeah.
And then from that, it's like, hey, if you're a speaker and you've got one joke that you're working on, come to the Soapstone where you can work that out. We've got coaches, and you sign up for a coaching session that'll help you with that joke. And they get on stage, they become a deeper part of the comedy club, and then that's how you can say, "All right, we keep in contact with you as well."
Right.
That was just my again, my number one strength is ideation on the strength finder.
Yeah.
So I'm always coming up with these ideas. So what
So there's a couple things there that are really cool. Some of the things are already kind of happening,
right.
but others there's room to integrate there. The the comedy coaching piece of it, like that's just a hugely important part of all this. And we're we're doing that, but it's like starting to gel. It's like starting to take place right now. Um, excuse me.
It's all right.
I'm
Hey,
coughing and everything.
this is
Maybe
real
that'll
life,
get
folks.
edited
This
out.
is real life,
Yeah.
folks. We cough. We're,
Yeah, we
we're not
cough.
our avatars.
So, there's a lady that has presented herself in the Soapstone, and she's actually going to lead a very in-depth comedy writing class. It's super cool. Uh,
Mm,
she showed up. She's got some very good credentials, and she's like, "Listen, I want to do this, and I want to base it around the Soapstone." And open it up. Basically, she'll open it up to a dozen people. So it'll be a small group of people, but it'll be people from the Soapstone that want to take her comedy class for free.
yeah.
And then they'll go through, and much like the structure of like Rick Roberts' class and
Right.
stuff, where people will go through and then their graduation is to come do a show at the Soapstone.
So
Uh,
good.
yeah, so that's super cool. But the other thing
Will
that's
the
starting to
will the class
play
be
out, go
will
ahead.
will the class be in the metaverse?
It
Or
will be in the metaverse,
oh,
yep,
nice.
and it'll be in a world that she's built out specifically for comedy teaching,
That's so good.
and, and that's, I mean, that's perfect, and she's like, "I wanna do it in my world because I wanna promote what I'm doing too." And I'm like, "Absolutely," I mean, this is your thing,
Right.
yeah, I just love what which I don't wanna get too distracted here, but that's something that's happening right now that is a really cool pivot. I mean, we've talked a lot about collaboration
Yeah.
and really what that has been, it's been under the umbrella of me trying to accomplish something and finding people to collaborate with that can help me accomplish it.
Yeah.
But it's starting to pivot a little bit where people are coming to me or coming to the soapstone and the people within the soapstone and saying, "Hey, this is what I want to accomplish. Can you guys collaborate with me?"
Right.
And that's cool.
Absolutely.
That's cool because now, you know, like you've got a lot more capacity. If you're looking for people to collaborate with you, like you're driving it, you're doing everything behind it and then tagging them in.
Yeah.
And when you flip that around, now the impact is exponentially greater. It's uh it's
So good.
uh,
So
yeah,
good.
had to go down that rabbit
Yeah.
hole.
And that's a man, it's do nothing in selfish or empty conceit, but with humility of mind, regard one another as more important than yourself. So ultimately, it's yeah, it's regarding others more important. Like, hey, you go, you do it. How can I help you? It's being selfless and instead of selfish. And
Right.
that's the man,
And
that's
that and that doesn't mean like we apply or we accept every opportunity to
absolutely
collaborate that
right.
comes along. It still's got to be focused. It's still got to align missionally and all that. But man, it's a easier place to be in to decide what to collaborate with than to be trying to figure out who can collaborate with
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I thought
yeah,
yeah, and that stuff, that's the automatic stuff. It's like you this lines up, this lines up. Now let's see how
yeah,
we can help you or how I can help you.
yeah, yeah. It's wild and but with that too, in order to be positioned to do that, I have to recognize and realize that that they have an end goal, which uh, isn't like doing something solely for the soapstone,
Yeah,
and that's fine. Like we just had this guy who came in and he came in as a professional comedian, and he said, "Hey, put me on." He had some references. He knows some people. He's a connected dude,
yeah.
and we threw him in on the headliner show. It did not go well.
Hmm.
It was not clean. It was in fact it was not clean and it was not well received.
Wow.
The audience did not like it, and he knew it. And I mean, you and I have both been there, where you're up on stage and it's not, and it gets tough,
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden it gets worse. Not necessarily dirtier. In this case, it did, but you know. But it gets worse. Like now you're trying too hard, and they can sniff that out, and
right.
all this. So he had a bad set, and I didn't talk to him the night of the show because I don't like it when people talk to me the night of the show. There's too much adrenaline. There's too much going on in my head. That's not the
Right.
time to get critique and feedback. But I talked to him the next day and I asked him if he wanted a critique on it, and he did. So
That is
we talked it
awesome.
through. Yeah, we talked it through. And I'll tell you what, last night he spent 4 hours on stage hosting the open mic. And
Wow.
this guy, like like he wants to be the dirtiest clean comic around. Like that's his goal, which I'm good with that,
Yeah.
as long like I don't care if you hit your head against that wall over and over, just don't go through it,
Right.
But with that, his goal is to start a comedy club in the metaverse. And you know he's basically cutting his teeth, getting working his chops out, and also networking and meeting people through the soapstone. And like one of the people on my team said, "Hey, this is what this guy's doing. Um, so he might end up kind of using us." And I'm like, "So be it. That's fine." It-
That's great, dude. That's yeah, to be able to have that posture, to take that posture when somebody brings some stuff, that's another level of living right there, man.
right, right.
Yeah, it's like,
It's
yo, it,
I used the expression that a friend of mine told me. He said, "I like to hold on to stuff with an open hand." And I'm like, "Yeah, that makes
absolutely.
sense."
That's so good, man. That's so
Yeah.
good. Come on,
Will it
Soapstone.
burn me? Yeah, yeah. Will it burn me? Will it burn us? Yeah, at times it will.
Dude, that
For sure.
but dude, that's I mean, essentially, man, dude, that's how Jesus did. Like, come on in here, Judas. I got you.
R
Like
right.
he might betray you. Hey, it's okay. Peter,
Yep.
put your sword down, man. I know they trying to arrest me. It's all good. In fact, I'm gonna let y'all take me.
Yeah. And JP, if you're listening, we're not saying you're Judas.
Not at all, JP.
Oh, man.
Even though it has the same
Dude,
amount of
when you
syllables.
came in Yeah. When you came in, I actually was in another world, and I saw that you were in the soapstone, and I was like, "Oh man, I want to go jump in there." But I was actually involved in something super cool. Talking about collaboration, there's this company in the metaverse called One Shot Comics,
Okay.
um, and and they reached out and asked if I wanted to be in one of their comic strips. And I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm talking about. These collaboration opportunities are popping up. So we go to this Star Trek world, and basically they built a movie set in the metaverse to do a photo shoot for the comic strip that they wrote.
Wow.
It's a Star Trek themed thing, and but they wrote the whole story. And so you've got all the different sets that they've got built up for the different scenes and that. And I'm in there doing these photo shoots, which is really cool because it's not a video shoot, so audio doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So you got all these people like holding poses to set the scene, but they're just talking about whatever funny stuff, and everybody's laughing, and it was a blast, man. Uh, but watch for that name, One Shot Comics,
One shot comics.
because oof, man, these guys are going to be a big deal, not just in the metaverse, but overall, because they are all pro with what they're doing.
Yeah. The one thing I love about this conversation that we have, I always take notes on people's names, people's stuff to look at, stuff to research. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
it's so good, man.
yeah. Well, the one guy specifically, Zach the artist, he's involved
Oh,
in One Shot Comics, and he's a host for our Tuesday night trivia at the Soapstone. This guy, dude,
I saw the artwork
I
that he did. Oh my goodness. Dude, I was
so
like, I want one.
you you need to have one, dude, and he would love to do it for you. If you got a photo of a close up of your face in the metaverse, send it to me or send it to
Yeah.
him through the Team Soapstone Facebook group, and he'll do it. Like, but we messaged back and forth today for a decent amount of time. He also, by the way, listened in to our last live podcast, the premiere on YouTube.
Uh-huh.
He was in there listening to it. But this guy, like, so I oftentimes will observe things about people
Yeah.
and try to gently coach them into what might be a healthier setting.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I noticed about him is he's got a million things going, and he's always plugged in. Like like this guy, and I talked to him, and he's going 100. He literally averages about 120 hours a week of work.
Wow.
Uh, and I mean, like, I saw that, and I like this guy a lot,
Yeah.
and I'm like, man, I'm noticing this, and if I can interject, you can do this for a season, but it's gonna crush you.
Yeah.
Well, as I've got to know him, he's built differently than everybody else that I know. This
Wow.
guy's Elon Musk. This guy his natural rhythm is to be going 120 hours a week, and that's where his stride is.
Yeah.
It's like, as I talked to him, that started to become clear that, the advice that I'm giving is based on us mere mortals.
Yeah.
He's built a little bit different. I mean, it'd be like telling, Michael Jordan, "Hey, you know what? Y don't practice 8 hours a day."
Right.
You know what I mean? And I recognized it after talking to him a little bit, because he gave me a little bit of his backstory, and told me about some of the things that he's accomplished, which again, I mean, I won't get into it all, but this dude, like, he's a young man, and he has been achieving on a hyper huge level for a long time.
He's
Like,
he's very well seasoned with life at such a young age.
yeah,
That's what I gathered
absolutely.
when I talked to him. I just, I had a brief conversation with him in the soapstone one night, and I was like, "This dude is actually a pretty amazing dude."
Yeah.
You saying that he's a young man? I thought he was older. I thought he was a boomer. Not really.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I did too, but, like, he graduated from MIT, just, like, and that's just the thing, "Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, also went to MIT," and
dude. Do you?
yeah.
I wonder, and maybe he could answer this. Did anybody finish MIT with a 70?
Well, oh, like a C
Yeah,
minus
right. A
grade?
C
Yeah.
minus. Like, man, I graduated MIT, and we give them when anybody
Right.
graduates MIT, we give them summa cum laude status, like in our
That's
mind, like
right,
he
that's
graduated
right.
from MIT. But I wonder
Yeah.
if there was somebody like, yeah, he's
I graduated
MIT.
MIT, last in my class.
But
Yeah,
then
yeah.
MIT like last in our class is probably first in a lot of others.
It's and they're not wrong. Yeah.
That is funny.
Yeah. My son went to U of M for, computer science,
Right.
and it's a program that's chock full of geniuses.
Yeah.
And when he got in there, he's like, "Man, this is a different level." Like, these people are starting companies and just like they're graduating for the fun of it because they're set, for the rest of their life. And he's like, and they're brilliant. He's like, "If you line everybody up, I'm like one of the least intelligent people out here." Which he's very, very intelligent. But he's like, "I'm one of the least intelligent people." And he said, "But I can run circles around them socially."
Yeah. But you know
Yeah.
what? I think everybody has something that they are elite in.
Mm.
I do, man. I really
Say that
believe
one more
that.
time, because there's people listening that need to hear that.
Everybody has something that they're elite in. Another way I say it is like this. I say it like this on stage. God didn't give everybody everything, but he gave everybody something.
Yeah, yeah,
And the mission is to find out that something. Again, God didn't give everybody everything. God didn't make everybody great at everything, but he made everybody great at something. And you
yeah.
got to find that one thing. And so one thing I realized was when I realized that I was funny, I realized that I was funny in middle school. I realized I could make a lot of people laugh and I was freaking good at it.
Yeah.
I also noticed that we had some very good athletes and we had like one or two freakishly smart genius type people in my middle school. And
Mhm.
I watched that. So I watched them in sixth grade and I said, okay, they're good. He's very smart. She's very smart. He's he's a very great athlete. I'll be able to tell if he's really good if when we go to the next level, when we get to seventh and eighth grade, if they're still great, if they
Yeah.
haven't averaged out. And sure enough, these athletes, they were still cream of the crop. Lawrence was still cream of the crop in seventh and eighth grade academically. In fact, most of the day, he would leave our school and go to the high school for his classes.
Mm. Mhm.
And then I was like, okay, the athletes are good and they've risen to the occasion. They've rose to the occasion. Uh, the academic people, they rose to the occasion. I'm still in eighth grade, one of the funniest people. So right now, Malik, if I'm really funny, I will still be as funny when I get to high school. If Larry Staten is really good at football and basketball, when he gets to high school, he will still be good. If Lawrence is really smart, he'll still be smart. We got to high school. We got to high school, of course. Larry State became a blue chipper All American. Uh, went to school, D1 scholarship, full ride. Lawrence, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, did some amazing things. Like I forgot what school he went to. And then you had me. It was like, okay, if I'm elite, I'll still be funny when I get to college. Got to college. Larry's killing it
Mm.
at Hampton. Lawrence is killing it. And then I get to Virginia State and I'm still very funny. And I'm like, oh snap. It's I think I've earned elite status. And then I became a
Yeah.
professional. And I got, went to a comedy conference, like, oh snap, these dudes are good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I could hold my own with the comedy greats. So I'm like, man, and so everybody has their thing that they're great in that level in. Some people is just socially, some people is financially, some people is on just different levels. But everybody's got something that they're great at.
Yeah. Absolutely. Man, that's encouraging to hear. Um, because yeah, it's hitting that elite status. I mean, of course, the guy that comes to my mind when I hear you talk about um, going to that next level is Tiger Woods. This as
Yeah,
as we record this, he's competing in the Masters again with after multiple things that should have taken him out of the game forever.
absolutely.
And this guy's sheer will and determination has brought him back in to compete at the highest level.
He takes a licking and keeps on ticking.
You know, and I don't know how he's going to do because it's going on right now, but he does. He and I guarantee you, he knows that he's going to win this tournament.
Hmm.
Whether he does or not, I don't know. But in his mind, I guarantee like he just knows because and of course when he hit the professional scene, which actually was the Masters if I remember right, uh, like his first because he won the amateur title,
Right.
he got to compete in the Masters, and he was being interviewed, and the guy interviewing him, a boomer, no doubt.
For
uh,
sure.
he says, "Hey, so Tiger, welcome to the big leagues. How do you think you're going to do?" And he said, "I'm going to win the tournament."
Yeah.
And and the guy laughed and he said, "Oh, you you'll learn what it's like to compete with the big boys." And boy, he not only won the tournament, but I mean it started off one of the most miraculous careers in golf and accomplishing things that no one else has done and all that.
And dudes knew when Tiger showed up, they were playing for second place.
That's I heard many professional golfers say that in interviews. Like,
Insane.
yeah, it's you know, you know, yeah, we're all wondering who's going to come in second. Like,
Yeah. That is
yeah,
amazing. We played again.
and
Go ahead.
oh, go ahead.
In high school, we played against Allen Iverson. So he was
Mm,
our cross the river, Chesapeake Bay rival. And they beat us in the regional championship in football and basketball.
mm,
And we just knew, like, yeah, if we can, everybody knew whoever won this game was going to be the state championship, who was going to be the state champion. And
yeah,
man, we came close in football. We came very close, lost by 2 points, and I really think we would have won. 20 plus
yeah,
years later, I'm still bitter about that.
yeah.
That's
There,
ridiculous.
there had to be a bad call,
Uh,
right?
No, actually, the game got rained out before the day
Mm,
before, and they canceled it. Then we played the next day. I really believe if we would have played the first day, we would have won because it was just so close, man, so close. We actually lost on the goal line.
oof,
25
yeah.
years later, dude, it hurts.
Those wounds will heal up like in
Maybe in 30,
25 years from now
yeah,
when
so it'll
we're
take 50 years. Yeah.
yeah,
So, but in
yeah.
basketball, man, my goodness, he was just as amazing on the football field that he was on the basketball court. But man, it was just like we hung with him halftime,
Mhm.
some of the third quarter. But after a while,
Yeah,
the elite guys just started like, wow, that was great. I hung with him for
yeah,
a while.
Right.
Like one guy said that he was playing against Kobe Bryant, and he was giving Kobe the business. He was D'ing up Kobe, scoring on Kobe, giving it all he got. Fourth quarter started. Right before the fourth quarter, Kobe hit him on the butt, said, "Man, you played a great game, fella." And he was like, "What?
Oh.
What? What do you mean, man? I just locked you down." And he was like, fourth quarter. He was like, he said the coach was like, "Man, what y'all doing?" He's like, "Man, what can I do?" What do you
It's like it was the old dope,
mean?
rope a dope.
Absolutely. It's like
Oh, man.
it's like writing. Michael Jr. and I spend time writing comedy together.
Mm.
This dude brain works so doggone fast. I'm like, man, how
Dude,
did you? It would have taken me probably another day to get to that point. He was like, I'm like, wow, this is amazing.
man, yeah, that dude, it's just like we're talking about with my friend Zach, that, just works on a different level.
Yeah,
Like where the megahertz that he's operating at, it's just a different rate. And yeah,
no,
and Michael Jr. is exactly like that.
yeah,
I mean, he like at the last CCA conference, you know, he experienced something that he doesn't experience very often. He came into a room that was an open mic. Actually, it was Marlo Rutz's Cubbyhole open mic,
yeah.
and it's a little bookstore with 25 people scattered that don't know who's going to be there or anything. Michael Jr. comes in and he crushed like like and again, like, this dude gets on stage in front of thousands of people that all paid lots of money to come see him specifically, and
Hmm.
he's used to performing at that level. So to pull him from that and see him plugged into the really kind of the lowest level of comedy, and he brought it.
Yep.
It's ooh, ooh, I he's one of them people that I just got such incredible respect for.
Yeah, man. It's great. Yeah, but different. Like I have a MacBook Pro here, and but it's not the new one. That new one has this Ultra M1 double chip thing that just makes it. You can do the same thing, but it's just at a
Yeah.
different rate.
Yep,
That's funny.
yep,
Sometimes,
and that's okay.
yeah, it's absolutely, because sometimes he's like, "Man, you need to do this, do life." Like, look, dude, I'm doing it, just not at your rate, bro. Like,
Right, right. Well, and there is a price to pay for that.
mm,
You know, the people that are operating at ultra high levels in something, they're paying a big price for that in other areas.
yeah,
Um, it's and we don't know what that is.
right. You never know.
Um, yep. We don't know what that is, but it's a math equation.
Yeah,
Ultimately, we are all people.
or it's in some cases we know, because sometimes it's for the person who's blind, they can smell a little bit better. Not in
Yeah,
terms of
yeah,
deodorant, but just their sense of smell is a little bit better. Or the person who can't hear, they might see a little better, or be a more, the person who's blind can like hear. Like, dude, how did you hear that, bro?
yeah.
I don't know if you ever met a blind person with a good sense of humor. That stuff is so funny, man. I was on a plane with a blind dude, and he sat down. He's like, "Hey, it's supposed to be a TV right here." Yes.
Oh, that's great.
He was
That's
like,
great.
"You want to switch seats?" No, I prefer the window because I like to see the clouds. Dude, he was crushed. Like, dude, how are you giving us this comedy going on this airplane like this? This stuff is hysterical.
Wow, you know what? I mean, you see blind musicians and singers from time to time, and they're just on a different level, But I trying to think if there are any blind comedians that I can think of.
There's one
Um,
who's legally blind called
mm,
he's relatively young, called Leon the Jokester, out of Tulsa.
mm,
So
yeah.
it's funny, man, because he gets on stage with the with the cane. And yeah, so he and I, I've done lunch with him, and I was like, man, how this sounds weird. Like, dude, how blind is he? Because
Oh,
he was very he's just legally blind.
yeah,
Which,
yeah.
by the way, I got a unpopular
You're not
opinion.
throwing grapes at him and stuff trying to test.
I did mess with him, just like I'll put your coffee right there.
Yeah.
So my 14-year-old and I were talking, and he said something that I've always wondered, and I know we're getting way off here, but he was like, "Dad, I don't think Helen Keller was like blind." I was like, I've been thinking that my whole life. I've just never articulated that to anybody. I was like, maybe she was just legally blind, man. Maybe.
Dad, I don't think Helen Keller was blind.
I was like, you know what, son, that
Oh,
makes sense. It make logically, I see why you're going. Like, I thought that
yep,
myself a
yep.
time or two.
Oh, man. That's see, I mean, that's to me, that's where humor lives, is just, like, asking the question that has never been asked. Like,
Right.
"Wait a minute, what?" Yeah, like
Absolutely.
oh, man. Wow, that's cool. But, dude, getting back to that perspective shift, though, that you were talking about, like, to look at it from the flip side, not, "Hey, what am I excelling at? What am I the best in the world at?" But to say, if there's something else that I'm not the best in the world at, then there's other things around it that can be elevated. There's other things around it that are heightened.
And bringing people around you whose strengths are where your weaknesses are.
Man, that's hard to do.
Dude, but let me tell you, man, as a result of the Well Metaverse podcast and some things that you've challenged me in, dude, my senses have become very heightened about where I lack in terms
Mm,
of getting things done, and how can I, but because all of us we excel in certain areas, but we're also sensitive to those weak areas. I've fallen into the trap over the years where I've tried to focus on my weaknesses.
mm,
Like, I still hone in on my strength, but like spend
yeah.
time on those weaknesses. But then when you do that, it also it, there's a word that I'm trying to it dilutes the strength of that one thing that that you're very strong in, or those few things that you're strong in. So, man, I've spent, of course, you all know publicly, after Aaron the Great challenged me on looking at some
Mhm.
things. What can I do? So I met with an executive, high level executive. He's a vice president of a company, and I was like, hey, I need your help. I know I can't
Nice.
make you vice president of Jason Earls. I can't afford you. Uh, but whatever you can. What does it look like? What if I even brought you on my team? What would that look like financially, that I can, even come close to what you're worth and the help that you bring? And just the strategic planning that came after that. So you already know I brought
Ooh,
on Candace, which is part of
yeah.
my communication team, which is helped me come up with the text laugh to 33777,
Yeah, right.
two threes, three sevens. So she's got that communication. I can't even explain to you
Yeah.
what that has done. But then bringing on this guy who's saying, he's bringing that Aaron Searles um, type,
Vibe or yeah.
that that MBA type thinking that you got, man. And it's, dude, I'm seeing. even my shoulders drop and me lock in some on the comedy
Yeah.
end.
Yeah. Oof.
So phenomenal. And that's essentially what you've done, even with the soapstone. It's this person uh is a great creator. She came in and redid the soapstone, redesigned
Yeah.
it. All that stuff, man. It's just and all those when we have people like that and the collaboration, it just makes us better in what we do.
Man, that's I'm so proud of you. And I mean, you're your own man and everything, and you know that I've got so much respect for you. It seems odd to say I'm proud of you,
No, dude, I
but
take it. You don't got a
yeah.
disclaimer, bro.
All right. Well, I'm so proud of you for finding that person that you can ask that favor and bring somebody into the team that that you might not have been able to.
Yeah.
Like uh that guy is going to play a huge or it's probably sexist. I just said that guy. Maybe it's that gal, that executive, or maybe you said he. Anyway, about it, that person that you brought in, they're going to play an incredible role
Bro.
in how Jason Earl's organization, Jason Earl's Productions, and how that is going to look. And man, it'll be better than it could have been without him. It could have been. It'll be way better than it would be if it was just you. Man, that's cool. So exciting.
Dude, and immediately it allowed me to put on a different pair of glasses. You know,
Ooh,
if
yeah,
you know when you first get your first pair of glasses, or you get a new pair and you put them on, you like, yo,
yeah,
man, I see different for all y'all people with 2020 vision who suck, whatever.
yeah. You're missing out. You're
Yeah,
missing
you're
out. You'll
missing
never
out on
know.
this gold right here. You're like, man, I didn't even know that was there. I mean, I see this clearer. Man, I didn't realize that trash was over there that need to be cleaned up, or that stain was on those glasses. I mean,
Ooh,
on
yeah.
that window, and that's what it's done for me in just one meeting. It's like,
Whew.
oh, you know what? I need
That's
to fix this. Oh, you know what? I need to get this off my plate too. You know what? I need to
yeah.
clean this up. Man,
Boy, kind of along that same along that same line, a friend of mine, Pete Brand, and I have been connecting. I think I mentioned him a little while ago, and we've been connecting and starting down this road of a small group of folks that he's kind of coaching and mentoring, and we're about to start one-on-one mentoring as well, where we're going to connect one-on-one and just go through stuff and he sent me about an 8-page questionnaire to get ready for the coaching session.
wow,
And I'll tell you about after going through that 8-page questionnaire, I'm like, I don't even need the coaching now. Like you dug so deep and got so much out of just these questions. Like I got a to-do list a mile long,
dude.
but yeah, it's
My graphic designer did that for me,
mm,
and in one questionnaire, I realized how I doubted myself and didn't have and lacked self worth in a few questions. And I was like, and
and
because I was aware of just because I've got some internal awareness and discernment, I was able to dig deep with her questions. And one of the questions was, if your comedy and your company was a car, what kind of car would it be? And the car that I wanted to name, I felt like I wasn't good enough to name that car. And I was like,
ooh,
wait a minute, where's that
ooh,
coming from? And I was
ooh,
like, man, she don't even realize what value she brought to me, or brought to me, brought, I said it right. What value she brought to me by just allowing me to think through those questions.
yeah.
It's bananas.
It's huge. Uh, and in fact, any advisor, anybody who's gonna coach us through something, if it should be about probably 95-5. About 95% of that should be reflecting on us so we can see ourselves
Hmm.
more clearly and understand. And then about 5% actual, like, okay, this is what you can do. You started this podcast off. I said, all right, tell me what to do. And you said, I don't know that I can tell you what to do, but I can walk through it with you. I can help you process it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah,
That's
I'm always leery when a person has all the answers for me. Run.
mm, yeah.
When an
Here's
advi
what you gotta do.
oh
Yeah.
my goodness, you need to do this, you need to do this. Yo, I run from that stuff. Like, clearly you're not the guy for me or the girl for me. Like, nope,
Yeah.
I don't want you telling me.
Man,
Yep.
this, this is good stuff. I should probably tell you the stats real quick, but we we
Yes.
we covered, man, we covered a lot of stuff. But we're up to 55,900 visitors
Come
now.
on.
There's still booming, man. That's up 2,500 visitors in the past week, which is cool. Overall visitors this past week is down. I felt that it was like in one of the downward waves
Yeah.
last week when we talked, and I was right.
Hmm.
We had about 7,800 weekly visitors, which is down about 2,000 or about 20%. So if you drop 20%, you're going to feel it. You're going to
Yeah.
notice it. Um, but I also right now feel that it's bottomed and it's back trending upwards,
Ah.
which that's an interesting thing about what's happening at the Soapstone, because we have culture, because we have community, because we have multiple connection points. When we start to go down a little bit,
Uh-huh.
we've got a core foundation that then springboards us back up.
Wow.
We've got a core group of people, so it's not just up to the algorithms. It's not just up to who they're going to show. I mean, we benefit greatly
Right.
from Meta or from Horizon showing our world to people, but we've got a strong enough core of people that even when that starts to slide a little bit,
Uh-huh.
we can bounce back, and that's I'm seeing that happening already. um, Average stay is at 18 minutes now, which is up a little bit from last week, which that's cool. And the team Soapstone, we're still at over 1,200 members. The growth it's still growing. We have more members every day, but it's not growing like we're not adding hundreds of people a week, which is what it would take. Now that it's big, we
Yeah.
would have to be adding hundreds a week in order for it to move the needle each
Right.
week. So um, the and then the collaborations this week, like I was talking about, man. Um, there is a video that aired with my friends from hztv
Okay.
called Tea Talk. Oh, such a cool video. Which again, all I had to do was go sit and talk with them, and then we did this big interview, and they did a wonderful job with it. And then we came to the Soapstone and rolled through, and I actually jumped on and did a set. So it was at the old layout for the Soapstone.
Yeah.
So people can see that, and I'm on stage and I tell some jokes and stuff. It's
That's so
fun,
good.
so
That's
fun.
so good. Goo. Good and cool. Just made up a new
Yeah,
word.
cool,
Goo. That's so
cool.
cool, man.
Yeah,
Wow. So, man, it's I was wondering when because when you go into the metaverse and they have the suggested ones, a lot of those are based off of that algorithm. What's new? What
yeah, yeah.
people going to? But then y'all still are. We're still at the bottom. You know, I don't know if it's because if it was suggested, I didn't pay attention to it, but I saw like two tiers down, Soapstone was still there.
Yeah, well,
But
and that's because we hit that's actually exactly what I'm talking about.
yeah,
Because we hit the little blip where we were not only was it not increasing, but it was actually declining a little bit.
Uh-huh.
As soon as things start declining, the algorithm decides, well, people aren't interested in this
Right.
anymore. So then if the algorithm thinks people aren't interested, they pull it from the top.
Yeah.
And then when they pull it from the top, people aren't really interested
Or they
anymore.
don't know
So
they don't know
ki
about it.
exactly, exactly. So it's kind of this self-fulfilling prophecy, and I've seen it happen to a lot of places. Like once that process starts, it's easy to just completely bottom out.
Yeah.
Uh, and and I mean that's not just the metaverse. That's anything.
Yeah.
If things start trending downward, it's hard to reverse. But here's the thing: you look at anything that's big, you look at anything that's experienced growth, and it's never a straight line. you know, it comes in waves, and you got to
Absolutely.
be prepared for that. Um, and I'm talking myself there because it's hard every day to come in and take a peek at the stats and be like, oh, is this it? you know.
But yeah, but that's why the game is consistency. If
Mm,
you can't quit. That's bottom
yeah.
line. If you're gonna do this thing, anything that's dealing with social media, you gotta be consistent and you cannot quit. That's because when you quit, social media is like life. If you decide to quit, then ain't nothing you can do. It's like good thing is social media, you
Yeah.
start over. So don't, yeah, and don't quit on life because you only get one. But social media is like, hey, if you're building, you decide to stop. You start go way all the way, red light, green light, baby. Go back to the beginning. And you
That's
gotta build
right.
again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's it. And like I heard a social media expert say this. They said if you're on social media and you feel like you're screaming from the rooftops, you're barely whispering.
Mm-mm-mm.
Because there's so much noise in the social media land.
Yeah,
If you're posting every 5 minutes, with your message, it feels like you're screaming from the rooftops, but the people that are seeing it are barely hearing a whisper.
that's so good, bro. Cause I I'm actually thinking about doing something. And I'm slow to say it
Ooh.
because I'm like, "Eesh, if Imma start, I gotta stay with it." So I'm thinking about I've been doing every Tuesday and Thursday, I'm in Clubhouse on a show. It's called the Akintunde Show.
Yeah.
So every Tuesday and Thursday, at 9 o'clock Central Time, so 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I'm on Clubhouse with a comedian by the name of Akintunde. And Akintunde, man, has his credits. He has a long list of credits, writing and producing for some well-known comedians in different shows. And he's become a friend of mine. He was more of an associate. We would see each other, always laugh, always talk, always have some good fellowship. But when I saw that he was doing the morning show, I was like, I just felt compelled to help him. I
Mm,
was like, man, how can I? Because he and I kind of beat the same drum. So
mhm,
many of us don't collaborate, and
mm,
if we just collaborated with each other, maybe things would be better.
mm,
So I just like, dude, I see you doing your morning show. I'm here to help you, whatever it is that you need. If it's doing stuff in the background, writing jokes, sending you stuff, researching, whatever you need, I'm here to help you. So he asked me to just be on it with him. And
mm,
man, it's what I've seen now is let's go back to the beginning of the podcast. It's how easy it is to produce something. When you have a certain knowledge base, it's not
mhm,
as difficult as it seems. And I was like, and my wife actually challenged me, and Michael Jr. Like, it's great that you're helping this guy. Like, and they both know Akatunde, who's really good. It's great that you're helping him.
uh-huh,
Keep on. But what about you?
mm.
What
Mm.
about like what are you doing? You have this ability, and both of them, without even knowing it, asked me the same question: Are you helping someone just to simply hide? And I was like, hmm. And I did some deep searching, and I was like, I don't think so. I think I'm helping him because indeed he and I speak the same language about helping others and having like putting efforts into one thing for someone to, like to help others become great as you come alongside them. And I was like, but if one of my closest friends and my wife asked the same question, I can't ignore it. It's like, if your wife says something to you that wasn't on your radar, you better pay attention. But if your
Mhm.
wife and somebody else says something to you, you might want to pay attention to it. So as a result, man, I was like, I don't think I'm helping to hide. However, they do get a sense that I'm not playing at the level that I can be playing at.
Dude,
So
that yeah, go ahead. I
yeah, so that made me like maybe I need to do this certain project that has been in the back of my mind. And so I'm thinking about doing a certain project. What were you gonna say?
well, first off, you should do the project. I mean, like, but you should do the project because whatever that project is, I don't even know any details around it, but
Yeah.
I just know that it's awesome. Um, Second off, man, that cuts me deep. Like, as I'm thinking about that in regards to my own position and what I'm doing, you know, everything outwardly is about helping people, and also everything is, not for the money, not for the reward. But am I hiding behind pushing other people forward? Am i am i am i doing things to safe safety net failure, meaning if something fails, then I can say, well, it wasn't about that. Am
Dude.
I It's
Yeah.
like this week, numbers have been fluctuating.
Right.
Well, on Wednesday night we do world tours now, and I was in there, and basically there was like two full rooms of people in the soapstone, which, I mean, that's spectacular. That's what people hope to achieve, is to have two full rooms going and people hanging out. I came in, and with tours starting up, we cleared both rooms. We pushed everybody to the tours. And for a minute, it struck me that, okay, am I doing this so that if our numbers completely drop, I can say, well, our numbers drop because I push people to because I put myself last, and I put pushing people towards other places. Like, is that something that I'm hiding? You know?
Mm. Yeah, I realize that sometimes I can hide behind people and use some of my ideas to help push people as I hide behind them. So when the idea fails, I'm like, well, I'm
That's
not the fall guy. Like yep,
right.
it didn't work. Because something that I fear or something that I lack. In other words, and I know this is probably a little too heavy for some people to like really think through, but if somehow since I was little, I've said a certain thing to myself about that I can't do things exceptionally well,
Mm,
or I'm not that good to become super great. then as soon as some opportunities happen, that message would come back up that I've kind of said to myself for a long time, and I'll look for ways so that little boy won't get hurt. And let me just do it like this so he's protected
Hmm.
while we can sit back and just watch. And sometimes we can lie to ourselves and say that's humility, where it's actually a sense of pride. And we know that here's a verse:
Man,
God gives grace to the humble and rejects the proud. So ultimately, God stiff arms us because of our own pride and not stepping into the front lines.
we can disguise that as humility, but sometimes it's pride. Oof.
Dude.
Man, that this ugh.
So I'm thinking about doing a morning show. It's every day,
Cool.
Monday through Friday, waking up right
Oof,
here
wow.
and doing a morning show. Just not long, maybe it's 15, 20 minutes,
Yeah.
but just being a way to help people get their day started, not depending on some radio station. But it's like, hey, this is Jason Earls, WJCE.
You got it.
Hey, this is
Yeah.
hey y'all, this is Jason Earls, WJAE in the house.
Dude, I mean, I laugh because 'cause you're getting all up on that
Yeah.
mic and but it's it's awesome. Um,
Yeah, and I want to make it fun, like, yo, this is the Jason Earls radio show. That's actually not on the radio. That's what I probably call it, the radio.
the the not on the radio show.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh,
Yep.
man, I
That
got a
sounds
lot.
fun to me, man. Go
It
ahead.
it it would be fun. It will be fun. Like, um, man, that's and well, to tie it back into technology, like, you could do that, like, I mean, it would be a lot of work, but it wouldn't be as much work as it would have been back in the 1980s, where
Dude,
you'd ha
but I even it's not it'd take a lot of prep work.
Mhm.
So for instance, this is I wish I didn't have to talk about this because as I talk, I'm like, oh snap, it's even more easy than what I thought.
Yeah.
Because all it is it's segments. And with your
Mm.
segments, you need systems. That's the universe. It's not that deep. But the universe has segments or planets, and and it
Right.
rotates on its own axis, has its own orbit and deal. And that's how this can be. It's like, okay, here's a planet. This is this whatever you want to call it. All right, this is this commercial or this is this call, this announcement, and I just hit the button with a certain device. If I record them, all I know, okay, this is the Jason Earls announcement. I can pre-record that, just hit it. This is Jason Earls, WJCE, and just and have a little deal, and then all right, y'all, what's up? Here we go. We going live with it, and
Yeah.
just
I like it, man. I think, yeah, I think it'll be good. Well, I'm like, you broke me, though, a little while ago, like, as we started getting
I
into
saw
that.
it. Did I
Did
just
you?
did I
Did
just
you?
take the heat off? Let's bring it back.
Yeah, right, right, yeah. Yeah, yeah, you broke me down there because I in fact, I'm gonna take a little bit of time, today, this afternoon, to think about, you know, what am I trying to achieve and what am I hiding behind or what am I sidestepping,
Mm,
in case of failure or to take the sting out of failure.
yeah.
What that actually, that's the way to put it. That's the thing I gotta think about. What am I doing, in order to take the sting out of failure?
Hmm.
Mm.
It's we're afraid of stings and pain. It's
Absolutely.
We don't like pain. We don't like stings. So oftentimes we don't get the pleasure of accomplishing certain goals or certain achievements because we don't want to go through this tunnel of pain, this threshold of pain. So we sell our own pleasures out.
Mm.
Uh, so we take more joy in resisting pain, or we take more joy, sorry, in avoiding pain
Mhm.
than the joy of the accomplishment. So like, yo, I'm just gonna sacrifice obtaining that so I
Mhm.
can avoid that pain or the sting. And I'm like, yo, that's not as a Christian who like our goal is to really look at Jesus as our example, as like the author and like he authored and he finished our faith and says, man, who for the joy set before him of this accomplishment of saving the world, he endured the pain of the cross.
Mm.
We say to hell or to heck with the pain of the cross. Like I ain't gonna deal with that
Mhm.
like that. That's from hell. We don't want to do that.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
we just don't we don't have the joy. So to look beyond. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody.
Does to me. Uh, yeah.
So here we are.
Right. This. We can talk. We you and I we get laughing. It's rare that we end up the podcast with both of us kind of just quiet and like, wow,
Just like
what were we?
which Avengers was the first one when after credits it just had them just sitting eating at a restaurant.
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody talking, just
What happens after? Yeah. Well, Jason, this has been a doozy. This has been a big one. It's been a big week. It's been a big episode of the podcast. When isn't it though? This is good stuff. I so appreciate you. I appreciate the people listening. This is quite the adventure, and it's going in directions that I never saw coming way back when we started flying the plane down the runway.
right. I thought we were going to the Bahamas. How do we wind up in the jungle on this trip? Yeah.
Oh, good stuff. Good
Yeah, really good
stuff.
stuff. It's life, man. It's life. This podcast reflects life. Like a box of chocolates, never know what you're gonna get.
That was the worst Forrest Gump I've ever heard. No, I'm just kidding. Life is like a box of chocolates. That one was worse.
Yeah. I must drink about 16 Dr. Peppers. That's some good one.
Thanks for joining us on this adventure. We will be back next week with a brand new episode, and you can always find us at jasonearls.com, theunemployedalcoholic.com, or at the Soapstone Comedy Club in Horizon Worlds.